Welcome to Ask Earl Anything. This is a show where your questions make the show. Without your questions, we don't have a show. This month, I've got a lot of questions. Thank you all for being subscribers. Thank you all for being part of my community. Thank you all for helping me get to 11,000 subscribers. Appreciate that very much. In a time when people's time to watch YouTube is becoming less and less and less, and people's focus is on a crazy world that we're living in with a lot of tragedy going on. I just want to let you know that this show will continue to go on. I love this show, and I love doing this time with you guys and gals who watch the show and talking about drums. I also want to let you know that my life, which I always do at the beginning of the show, is tell you a little bit about my life. My life's taken a change too. This summer, my wife and I, well, actually it started last spring, my wife and I visited some Franciscan monasteries. My wife has been studying the works of St. Francis of Assisi for years. And in that process of studying the works of St. Francis of Assisi, one of the things that we have learned is that St. Francis was the Jesus way. St. Francis was a simple priest that wanted to follow Jesus in the steps of Jesus and live like Jesus. A very important life of love to people. So that's been my journey. That's been my wife's journey. And in that process, one of the things we found at a monastery in, actually the Shrine of St. Anthony in Boston when we were there, was they had a program on spiritual companionship, or also known as spiritual direction. And my wife and I decided to try to get into the cohort and be a part of a 2-year program on spiritual direction. And I wasn't sure we were going to be able to do that, but we ended up getting in the program. And this month, September, we started the program. And 1 month, every month, is going to be spent being with the people in the cohort on a Zoom call or going to retreats. And there's a little focus change. You know, I've been spending most of my weekends out here playing drums. So you may see a little less content as I work on my spiritual side of life, which is very important to me. As many of you know, I try to do something on Sundays where I play a song from the contemporary Christian genre or worship genre. And many of you are worship drummers and play in churches and stuff. It's one of the most common things that drummers do today is drummers have gigs in churches. It's kind of wild. I never thought of it as a gig when I was doing it. It was always just my service unto the Lord. But over the years, I've realized that it can be a gig down here. It can be a gig that's lucrative for some that actually make money playing in churches. I make some money doing it, but I really have played a lot of churches for nothing most of my life. Getting paid to play Christian music has never been my goal. It's always been more ministry to me. And when I do my Sunday Christian music videos, it's me basically just pointing it towards who I really think is most important in my life and needed in my life. So this cohort on St. Francis's, it's not even on St. Francis, it's on spiritual direction, being a spiritual director, being somebody people come to talk to about spiritual things. By the way, I've been functioning as a mentor in that area for a long time, but I never did it with any kind of a certification or anything. So my wife and I are both in this cohort. It's an exciting spiritual journey we're on right now. And I just want you to know that if my drum videos wane a little bit or I taper off a little bit, just know I'm focusing on really important things in life. This is one of those things. The older I get, the more I realize the reason I do this channel is the people. It has really very little to do with me playing drums. The playing drums is my bonus to the whole thing. See, when I get to play drums, I feel alive. It's been healing to me to play drums. It's been a real healing to me over the last few years. But now, as I get older, I realize the most important aspect of this is the community I have with you. And that's why when I put out less videos, I always feel like I have less time to be with you guys, who are important to me. So I just want you all to know my community is important. So when I played We Are Family, I really meant it. That's really what this is about. That's what Ask Earl Anything's about. I truly believe there's about 30 of you that watch Ask Earl Anything, and you watch it over a long period of time. You keep bouncing in and out of it like I do, watching certain podcasts and drummer interviews. So thank you for watching Ask Earl Anything. And thank you for spending some of your time with watching me play drums and encouraging me that way. And continue to watch my videos when I'm not playing, when I don't have one out. There's plenty of videos that you maybe never saw before. Just search a video on one of your favorite songs. You may find that I'm there playing it. So I've played a lot of music. With that being said, I love podcasts too. And for that reason, I'm wearing the Working Drummer Podcast shirt today. Hopefully you all see this. The neat thing about the Working Drummer Podcast shirt that I'm wearing today is I got this in Nashville when I met the guys of the Working Drummer Podcast. And the shirt size was one size too small for me. So I've been waiting a long time to put this shirt on, and I'm just happy it fits today. So I've lost a few pounds too. This summer I've been working on me this summer. My wife and I have been working on it ourselves. We're exercising more. I have a 5 to 8 minute yoga routine I did in the morning with planks and strength training. And we walk for about 40 minutes every day. So I feel better than I've felt in a long time, to be honest. And I think it's reflecting in my drumming too. So that's part of it. But it's definitely reflecting in my spirit because I really feel connected to what I'm doing spiritually as well as in my body. So there's a lot of good stuff going on right now. I'm going to continue my weight loss journey. I'm not doing it in any kind of trying to lose a ton of weight. I understand something about weight loss after losing so much weight I've lost over the years and gaining it all back. The key to weight loss is to do it slowly and take your time and your pace and eat healthy like. So I try to eat healthy most days, but I have my days where you're going to go outside the box. So that just happens. So the other thing I wanted to say was this is my second time doing the show today. I did the whole show and realized my camera went out. That's a terrible thing when you talk for an hour and a half and you lose your camera. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to do the whole show over again. And I have 2 cameras set up, so hopefully one of these 2 cameras will make it to the end and I won't have a problem. And I had 2 cameras set up last time, except it was that camera. And that camera down there, when I have it, is a great angle for watching my drums. It's a terrible angle for me to do a show where I'm talking to this camera and I never look at that camera. So I felt really bad, so I'm doing it again. All right, couple things I want to talk. One other thing I want to talk about. I was talking about this show being long and coming in and out of it. One of the things I love to do is listening to drummer interviews and drummer podcasts. And Working Drummer Podcast, let's go back to that. This is one of the podcasts I listen to. There's a few other drummer podcasts I listen to. One that I've been listening to for a long time, which I think if you're into drummers, and especially famous drummers, the guy who started the drummer thing for me was a guy named Dave, and I don't even know his last name. But he did a drum podcast called I'd Hit That. I recommend you find it and listen to some of those if you're into that thing. The other one that I've been on is Drum History Podcast, Bart Vanderzee. He's a friend of mine. Bart had me on to talk about drum magazines. He also had Tate Berkey on to talk about the Chicago drum sets. That was pretty cool, watching Tate do that 2-hour show. So those are other podcasts I listen to. And there's one more I really want to push that I just found I listened to on my plane ride back from New Jersey in August, the Sideman Chronicles. Now, the Sideman Chronicles could be drummers or any session musician, actually. It's a bass player in Nashville, and he's had some great drummers on there. A couple of my favorites, one being John Hammond, who I talk about a lot. He's an influence of mine. He replaced me on an album. You won't find John Hammond interviews many places. This place had John Hammond. A guy named Scott Williamson, who I've heard his playing before. He's a great drummer, another CCM drummer. And one of my all-time favorites, Steve Brewster, which you never hear Steve Brewster's name. And he is an amazing drummer. So if you want to learn about some great Nashville guys that are studio guys, session players, learn about the world, this is a great show to watch. Now, I got one more for you. This is on YouTube. It's called Go with Elmo Lovano. Now, Elmo Lovano's a guy that's hosted some Zildjian events in the past. He's from LA. He knows all the famous LA guys. He just did one with Dave Weckl. He had John J.R. Robinson on there. He had Omar Hakim on it. Recently, he had Nardar Michael Walden on it. He just had Antonio Sanchez on it. These are all great drummers. He's a drummer. Great podcast. So I'm pushing podcasts. Listen to and learn about your favorite drummers. I think it's amazing. We're in an amazing time of information where we can learn all kinds of stuff if we put our ears to it and listen to it and take your mind off of the stupid news and all the dumb stuff that's going on in this world. All right, that's the commercial today. Podcasts. Let's talk about the questions. So I'm going to dig right in. I hope to get this into one show, but having done it before, it was an hour and a half. Pretty hard to do it. But the funny thing about when I start the show over again, I've kind of got my question formulated in my brain. I might answer it faster. So, all right, I've got a few questions from Brent3760. So this is the first of a few. He said, great episode, Earl. I have a question for the next Ask Earl Anything. And the question is, would you consider yourself more of a drum guy or a cymbal guy? What gets you excited? To be honest, if you look at my drum kits, you know it's not drums because I don't buy lots of drums. I have a great friend, Freedom Music Factory, Jim Waggy. Check his channel out. You want to see, if I was to have any envy for drums, it would be looking at Jim's drum collection. Not only does he have great drum kits, and a lot of them, but he's got some world famous drum kits. Dave Weckl's drum kit, Rick Murata's Yamaha kit that he did recording sessions with. He has. He just bought Chris McHugh's kit from Nashville. So Jim's a friend of mine. We talk often. Great drummer, writes his own music. Check his channel out. That's a shout out to him. But I am not that level of drummer who has drum kit after drum kit after drum kit. I've had a few drum kits in my life. 2 Vistalite kits. I had my brother's Yamaha kit that I'll talk about in this episode. But my kits today, I have 3 kits. One, a little Gretsch kit, maple Gretsch kit that's been pieced together. One, my Gretsch kit from college, 1979. Walnut, right in front of you. And one is that Concertom kit that took me years to piece together to get to the pieces I've got today. So drums are not my thing. That's not my main thing. I love playing a nice drum kit. I'd love to have some more drum kits, but truthfully, I'm a cymbal guy. I spent a lot of money on cymbals. A few years back, it was snare drums, but now I've even found my snare drums. I got 2 Black Beauties. I love them. I got a snare drum named after me. The DMR cast aluminum is actually called the Hammer. I don't put it usually in the notes, but it's called the Hammer. It actually got the Hammer written inside of it. The guy who built the drum built it, called it the Hammer. The other drum, the 7x14 DMR snare drum I have, which is walnut, 1-ply walnut, like a Noble Cooley, that's called the Duke. So I got one called the Hammer, one called the Duke. Pretty cool. And of course, I've got a Noble Cooley, 5x14 that I love. And I've got a nice acrylite, and I've got a couple 13s, a Yamaha Steve Jordan, and I've got an Omar Hakim Pearl signature 5x13 snare drum. And I've got a Gretsch snare drum that matches the kit, and I've got a Gretsch snare drum that's metal. Those are my main drums. So I'm not even a snare drum crazy dude anymore, because for a couple years back, I was trying to get like Dunnets and all kinds of stuff. So a lot of stuff has gone through my hands. But cymbals are my thing. I have about 60 cymbals that I own. And I have 2 new ones on the kit today. One is this thin 16-inch, 2002 thin crash 16-inch, which you're saying to yourself, don't you have one of those? Yes, I do. But I had an opportunity to trade a Zildjian that I never play, 16-inch, medium thin dark K crash from the late 80s, early 90s to my friend Pat O'Donnell. He gave me this. It was an easy swap. That's recent. I did a video. I had 216s in it. If you guys find it, you'll know what I'm talking about. I know one guy will find it. He has found it. Has commented on it. And the other one is this Paiste PSTX 18-inch medium PSTX effects crash, which has been used a bit in the last couple weeks. I like it a lot. It's not replacing my 20. I still have the 20, but the 20's got a crack in it. So I'm going to hopefully get away with not cracking this thing. By the way, Vinny Colaiuta uses one of these. He uses that 20 too, by the way. So I'm a cymbal guy, Brent. No doubt about it, cymbal guy, all the way. Thanks for the question. Next one comes from Michael Singley 5641. And he wrote, this is the question. Let me find it. I've wanted to ask you if you go into a recording with a basic mindset of how many fills you think would be appropriate for the song. I myself would think of a category of three, in categories of three, like 2 or 3 memorable ones, half a dozen or so interesting ones, and whatever comes to mind while I'm playing. Great video, Earl. This was based on, I'm not even sure what video this was on, to be honest. Might have been the Ask Earl Anything. Not sure. To be honest, Michael, I don't go in with an idea of what I'm going to play a lot of times, unless I'm playing a cover of a song and I'm trying to play it pretty close to the original. And then those fills trying to phrase those fills become important. I just did the song Anticipation. None of you will see it anytime soon. It is blocked. Anticipation by Carly Simon, but there's a couple fills in there that are kind of like really critical to the tune. The first one is dome, 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 doogie-da-boom. Big open fill. The reason for that is that's what Andy Newmark played. I tried to play that. And the other one is doom, down to dum, doom. That's the fill. You know, anticipation is making me way. Doom, 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 doom. That fill's important. I tried to get it. It's not as easy as it sounds as me singing it. I sing it all the time. And I had to play it today. I think the version I got that I was going to post had that fill pretty good, but you'll never see it unless it gets unblocked. Anyhow, I don't go in thinking of my fills. I do like to say that the ending stuff I do at the end of songs, those are the most creative stuff I do. That all just flows out of me. And occasionally I'll try something, and if I miss it, I'll try it again. But truthfully, even that's part of flow. And I don't usually do the crazy fills at the end until I know I'm close to the take. So it's very rare that if I did that, I would never get anything done. A lot of times I'll do the song, get through it, push the play again, record again, and do it again. I'll do them like boom, boom, boom. I have this transport over here. It's not on right now, but that's what I do, and it works. So I would say I don't really figure out my fills. Having done a bunch of albums, I can tell you that I play as simple and to the part as I possibly can, and really try not to get crazy unless the inspiration is there. I did a live album, an album called and it was an album at the church I was at. The girl's name is Danielle McManus. She was the pastor's wife and the lead singer in the worship band. And on that album, we rehearsed what we were supposed to play, and I ended up on the album because I did the things that we rehearsed versus going for stuff I didn't really. I probably went for a couple things. There's this one song, I think it's called In His Name. It was the only song that she wrote, actually, on the album. I took a little more liberties with that than the ones that were more traditionally Hillsong or Bethel songs that we did. But again, I went in there with an idea what to play and playing the right fills versus playing some fill I preconceived thought of. So I have ideas, what's the right fill, and I try to stay in that vibe, if that makes any sense. So I really don't premeditate craziness unless the premeditated craziness is part of the song. You can't play Asia and not try to play those Gad fills. But if you've even watched my Asia videos, I have 2 of them, I'm not playing it exactly like the record. I'm playing more of me than me trying to be Steve Gadd is what I would say that is. So anyhow, I hope that answers the question, Michael. Good question. The next question is from Brent3760. This is about muffling. I know you use different muffling methods, especially on your snare drum. What do you all use in your opinion? What do you all use in your opinion? What instances do they work best in? So I think what you're asking me, and I'm not sure I'm reading it right either. My eyes are getting there. When do I use muffling? How do I choose muffling? What is the muffling options? Snare drum gets muffled more than anything else. And for snare drums, I'm a ring guy. I make my own Ritchie rings, they're called, or Steve Gadd used to make these out of drum heads. I've been making them out of drum heads for almost 50 years. You can go out and buy one. It's called a big fat snare drum. There's a slight difference in the sound, not much. So those are two options. I can't stand putting these here, by the way. This is one of the things I've learned. I can't have anything touching my calf while I'm playing. You've seen I use the drops. The drops are special. Sometimes I use the drops. They have a muting effect on a tom. They kill it a little bit. But right now on these toms, I got them really wide open. I'm using a little piece of this cheap gel I buy from Amazon. I buy 48 of them at a time. They're about 10 bucks for 48 of these gels. These little round gels, and I cut them sometimes. Like I'll cut them in half, and I'll put a half here, half over here. This one's got 2 halves and a hole. It all depends on the drum. But truthfully, there's always some muffling because you're trying to take out that weird overtone. But for the most part, muffling is determined by the song. What is the song saying to me? And that's going to choose the muffling I choose. If I've got a 70s tune and I want that Gadd kind of dead snare, I'm going to go to the ring. If I want it wide open, that's wide open. But sometimes that doesn't record real well wide open. So this is like putting a wallet on it. This is 200 grams of weight on it. So it's like putting a wallet. Just dries it up. I've even done multiples of these things. These things kind of want to kill a drum. This will kill a drum. That's wide open. It really depends on the song. And that's really the answer to the question every time, Brent. It's what the music says to me and what I want to do. I like playing this kit with more wide open toms. That kit's more dead. That's got a 70s kit sound, the concert tom kit. So really, it depends on the song. The music dictates what I use for muffling. Anyhow, hope you dig that. Next question, it's on the same song, by the way. Na 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 na, hey hey hey, kiss him goodbye. That's the name of the song. Na 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 na, hey hey, kiss him goodbye. Didn't know it said kiss him in there. I just thought it was just goodbye. You asked a question about my bass drum muffling and why I would put a blanket over the front. And on that tune, I was trying to get a really dead bass drum sound because that tune has an echo effect on the drums. And if you listen to that cover, you can hear the echo effect on the snare and on the kick drum, where it's like I'm playing singles, but I'm getting bubums out of it, on the snare and the kick drum. So that was an effect I was going to go for using a double kick, and then I realized this is an echo. What am I doing beating myself up? That's when I set the 2 kick pedals. The kick drum, I actually set up the double pedals so I could play doubles on that song, and then I realized all it is a single with an echo on it. So I put the echo effect on it, fixed it in post. It worked. I thought I did a pretty good job of getting it close to the effect. but you'll have to listen to it to figure it out. But yeah, that's just another studio technique, putting a blanket over it. It's to keep that mic isolated from the other mics. So you're not, see, I wanted to, even if I wanted to use the echo, having that shut off kept the bass drum echo cleaner because it didn't have the snare drum getting into it, because the snare drum does get into the bass drum mic, believe it or not. All right. Next question is from my friend Jonathan Sensi. This was about, this is a good question. It was on the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Jonathan said to me this. Jonathan's an old friend from the drumming community. He said, I have a question for you. In exactly 1 month, I'll be playing a big arena in Chile as an opening act for a big international band. I don't want to say the name, but I don't want to jinx it. I have played in big arenas and festivals before, but nothing as big as this one. Do you have any tips or recommendations or stories you could tell from your experience to tackle the opportunity the best as possible? Thanks, Earl. Okay, Jonathan. First off, got to answer this question exactly how I wanted to the first time. I even gave you the tips in the answer I sent to you because I thought if you're going to, this may not get to you in time. Key thing, playing on a big stage. If you're playing on a big stage, you need to hear your bandmates. So you have to have a monitoring system that allows you to hear your bandmates. Now here's one of the things that goes against it. If you're not using in-ear monitors, and by the way, probably today you'll be using in-ear monitors. If you're using in-ear monitors, this may be easier. When I played on big stages, really big stages, I didn't have in-ear monitors. I was playing with wedge monitors. Wedge monitors basically meant this for me. I could hear them coming out of it really loud, and I could hear my drums coming off the back wall in an echo, delayed. And that made playing with them a lot harder than it needed to be. So be aware of the place where you're playing, and be aware of being able to hear yourself. Now, in that situation where I remember it the worst was Count Basie Theater in Red Bank, they did not have the kick in the monitors. They did not have the snare in the monitors. I would play at a festival called Creation Festival before 10,000 people. We were the band that went on at 10 o'clock in the morning. We played right before the Newsboys came on. They were after us. And that was the first time I ever had kick drum in the monitors. Where the monitor guy's going, do you have enough kick in your monitors? I'm going, what are you talking about, kick in the monitors? Man, it was boom. So I could feel the boom, fop, boom, fop. It was like pouncing through my monitors. So that was really cool. I have to say, that was cool. And that made it easier to play. But of course, we were playing outside in that festival, so you didn't have to slap back off the wall. So if you're playing inside, you're going to get slapped back. If you're playing in a stadium, you might get slapped back in a stadium because it's controlled. It's around. You're going to hit a back wall eventually. So that's the key. One of the things playing outside, you play outside to dead air, your drums are dead as a doorknob. You really want to hear them in your monitors. If you're playing inside and you don't have your monitors set up, it can be a real problem. So you get that slap back off the wall. So that's the first thing. Make sure your monitor's there. And the other thing is, when you're playing with your bandmates, make sure you have line of sight to see the ones you need to see in the songs. Remember, you might be on a riser. They may be downstage, away from you. If that's the case, you might not see them. So make sure your cymbals are set up so you can see over and find them. So you can get your cues you need. These are all practical things, how you play together. Practicing in a room, you all see one another. Get on a big stage and you're all looking out to the crowd. You may be looking at the back and you're not getting your cues the right way. You may miss cues. So that's another problem. The last thing is have fun. You know, I just think back to the few times I've got to play in big arenas, big shows, big opportunities, theaters, recording sessions like the live recording I was telling you about before. They come and go so fast. Enjoy your time with them. So have fun, Jonathan, and good luck. I hope you have a great time. And I really appreciate you asking that question of me, thinking I made the big time. I played it a couple times, but I've never really made the big time. I wish I had. All right, my next question comes from Dana Romera, 5281. And this was on Higher Ground again, the Red Hot Chili Pepper song, which is really a Stevie Wonder song. He said, "Love the continuous speed. Is that 16ths, 30 seconds, 100ths? Laugh out loud. Lots of energy." Dana, this song is a shuffle. So a shuffle is nothing more than 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. So it's a dotted 8 16th note. And all this song is really driving. Driving shuffle. So when you think about this song, think about driving shuffle. And that's the key to the whole thing. Dotted 8 16ths is what it is. It seemed like it was something fancy. It really isn't. It's a standard shuffle pattern. So it's a very fun song to play too. Had a lot of fun with it. The next one comes from Wade Dixon, 9890. Great as usual. Question, on your double pedal, you don't have a square beater on the left. Any particular reason? I don't use a double pedal, but I have been thinking about getting one. My left leg was injured in an accident, so I never tried. All right. As far as the beater goes, it's just me being cheap. These square beaters cost like 20, 30 bucks today. And I don't play enough double pedal to care about having a square beater there. The round beater works. I have a lot of beaters too. I have a ton of them. And this round one is kind of close in weight to the square one. That's the first thing. Second thing is double pedals. Learning to play double pedals is like relearning to ride a bike. Like, if you've been riding a bike your whole life and you've ridden it one way, and then all of a sudden you got like one of those 2-passenger bikes, and you have to work together to make it work. That's what playing a double pedal's like. It's like relearning again how to do it. But once you get the coordination, you can do it. I'm not very good with double pedal. There are guys that are great double pedal players. My young friend 11 Drums, I say to him all the time, watch some of his videos. He plays double pedals. He plays double kick drum actually, which that's even cooler if you can play 2 kick drums. The original reason why I got a double pedal is because I always wanted to play double bass, but I really couldn't. Wasn't very good at it. I've been thinking about setting up the little 18-inch bass drum with the 22 in there, just to get a double bass looking kit for that big drum kit. Maybe I'll do it someday. But if I do, and you hear me playing doubles, it'll probably be playing a double pedal. I watched, who was it? There's a famous picture of Kenny Jones of The Who, when he was with The Who, after Keith Moon died. And Kenny Jones had a Yamaha recording custom kit. I think it was in the Toronto Stadium from '82. And Kenny Jones had a double bass kit that year. And he had an 8, 10, 12, 13, 16, 18 floor tom, I think is what he had. Maybe it was 12, 14. 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. And he had 2 22-inch bass drums. And he had no pedal on his second bass drum. It was just there to hold the 2 toms. And you could see it because it was in the Modern Drummer articles. He took a shot from behind and there's just no pedal there. But it looked like a double bass kit. So Kenny Jones was a single bass drum player. That's to his credit. Playing 2 bass drums takes a lot of work, a lot of effort. And unless you're playing in some metal band, I don't know what the usefulness of it, unless you can do simple fills with it. But I'll give you a little taste of me playing double bass right now. next question comes from Spags. Spags is a follower of mine. He asked a great question. He said, this is a possible Ask Earl Anything question. Last few days you were on a Gretsch kit. Now you're on the fiberglass kit. What's the major differences? And I noticed you going back and forth between the two. First off, there's huge differences between this kit and that kit. That kit's set up for 70s dead drum sounds. This is set up for more lively drum kit sounds. You know, two-headed drums have more sympathetic vibrations you got to set the two heads up to get a really full, fat sound out of them. That's got a real punchy sound. Now, why do I switch back and forth? That's the real question. When I do drum covers, I'm playing a part. It's like being an actor. And when I'm playing 70 songs created on that dead drum kit sound, there's nothing better than playing that drum kit. I really get into the vibe of the drummer playing the song. Other songs, like if I'm playing jazz or funk or something from the 80s sometimes where I want the bigger resonating tom sounds, this is the kit for it. So they both have a role in what I do, and both are great drum kits. So it's really what role I'm playing that day. What drummer am I going to be today? Am I going to be the 70s drummer on the big multi-tom kit? Or am I going to be the jazz drummer on a small little Gretsch kit here? Or am I going to add more toms and be a bigger Gretsch kit, more like a Jeff Porcaro or a Rick Morata or a Steve Gadd? Or am I doing a rock thing, like a Bonham thing? I'd want the bigger drums, the biggest drums I have on the kit, you know, and 2 floor toms, you know. This kit does that. That kit does Hal Blaine. He does the Jim Gordon stuff. It does the 70s vibe with the concert toms. And sometimes it does the 80s vibe with the concert toms, the Phil Collins stuff. So, different kit, different stage, different song. I choose the kit by the song. Just like I choose cymbals by the song, I choose the snare drum by the song. And I'm blessed to have a few kits. So, that's the answer to that one, Spags. Thanks for the question. The next one comes from Vince Gomez. Here's the question. I know you don't gig as much as before, but did you keep any gear packed for gigs in the past? Or would you just collect from your room and gear as needed per gig? I'm also curious if you have any gear that is purely designated for indoor-outdoor gigs. Thanks. 2 questions, 2 good questions. First off, for years, my little Gretsch kit, I was taken out to play in churches all the time. That's where I would take it for about 3 or 4 years, 5 years maybe. I have a set of Tama Classic hardware in a bag, and that kit would be in the bags. And all I would do is have to grab the kit and run. Wouldn't have to touch anything other than cymbals or the snare I wanted to use. But for years when I was working drummer, I would use whatever drums I wanted to use for the gig based on how I was feeling that week. And there were times I would drag 3, 4 drums to a gig. The problem with that is sometimes you're in a small space, you can't use everything you bring. So, and as you get older, you start to realize you don't want to bring everything anyhow. As far as outdoor gig kits, I would say this. I did some outdoor gigs with a band I was in called the Swigs. It was a dad band. We were playing 60s and 70s music. And the first time I played with this outdoor gig, I brought this kit. I haven't brought this kit out to a lot of gigs in the last 10 years. But there was a couple Swigs gigs I brought this kit on. One was a wedding. It was inside. One was my wife's birthday party. It was inside. And the other one was that outdoor party. After I brought it to that outdoor party and I realized I was playing on a board, like a plywood board, 2 plywood boards, I said, I'm never doing that again. So the next time I had a gig, I brought part of that kit with me, the concert top kit. Plus, it was going to rain that day. And when I thought about rain, would I want these drums getting wet, or would I rather plastic or fiberglass toms that have no covering on it getting wet? I figured they could handle it better than this. So fiberglass drums are really made for the outside gigs. I used to have a set of Vista lights. They were good for outside gigs. But I can't say these drums have not been outside because truthfully, when I was younger, this was my only drum kit for years. It's only in the last 25, yeah, I would say the last 25, 30 years I've had two kits, consistently having two kits. So it really started in like 35 in the 90s. I got a Fibes kit for a while, then I bought a Vista Light kit. I had my brother's kit. Got that little Gretsch kit for trading a Fibes kit. That's a story and a half. I've had some interesting kits, but I had a Noble Cooley kit for a while too. That was pretty cool. But anyhow, when it comes to taking drums out, yeah, it's nice to have a beater kit that's not going to be affected by the weather and not going to be affected by the salt air near the ocean. So yeah, I would say have a beater kit for outdoor gigs if you can afford it, and have one. Today, I would take that kit anywhere. That kit can go anywhere because I don't care about that kit. It's not a great kit. It's got a great 80s bass drum. It's got a great 60s tom. It's got a great Catalina maple floor tom and whatever snare I choose to bring on the gig and the cymbals. So that's a great kit for that kind of anything world. So it's good to have one of those. But yeah, I used to pull from my stuff. I was always switching snares and cymbals and all that stuff. That's the kind of gear guy I am. I love cymbals. Like I said before, I got 60 cymbals. So I would pick which cymbal is the right cymbal for the gig. That's more my thing. And that would come out of the room somewhere. All right, the next one comes from Cheesemaster777. This was Orange Colored Sky by Nat King Cole. My wife asked me to play that song a couple years ago. It's a swing tune. So this is really good. Do you happen to keep a catalog of any sheet music for the covers you do? Well, here's the answer to that question. I have some sheet music for big band tunes I play. Those are big band charts. I have some chart books. I love reading big band charts. That's fun for me. But that's not a drum tab, and that's not a drum book like where you're reading how to play a simple rock tune. Like there are a couple guys that do YouTube videos. They're like this reading the music. You see me spacing out usually, my eyes closed or something. But I'm not reading how to play the music. I've done that maybe twice in all my YouTube covers. One was a Jackson 5 song way back, like 5-6 years ago. And I found the chart of it. It was just easier to play it with the chart because it showed me where the 3/4 bars were. And that was the hard part of the song, was understanding why it skipped a beat occasionally and how that laid. And that chart wrote it out. So that was great. The other time was with Cult of Personality. Will Calhoun's band, and I forget what they're called. You know, the funny thing is I did this show the first time, I forgot what they were called, and now I'm back doing it again the second time. I can't remember that. Cult of Personality. Who the heck is that band? Leave it in the comments. If you got this far, let me know you got this far by telling me the name of that band. They were big in 1990. I just remember that song. But that was one that had these 3/4 bars that really was helpful to see the chart. And on the video, you can see me reading the chart off the wall because I didn't have it on the stand. I had it off the wall, and I was just kind of looking over at it. But other than that, I played the whole tune down. So, great question, Cheese Master. All right, next one, Vince Gomez. This is on the song From the Start, Luffy. This was a song I did for my granddaughter. It was a bossa nova that I played with a shaker. I actually had fun doing that. That was a lot of fun. Now your question is, did I play it flat foot down, or did I play heel up? And in actuality, I can play the bossa nova either way. I think I played it mostly heel down. Notice I said mostly. But even when I was doing it this time, I kind of got up on it a little bit on the ball of my foot and did it that way on the bass drum. So I probably did both. When I play heel down, I get a rounder bass drum sound because I'm pulling off the bass drum head. So that gives that poofy sound, you know, that I was doing. Like. Versus digging in. That's burying the beater, ba-boom, ba-boom, I'm pushing it in, versus the other way, it pulls it out. So there is a slight difference in sound. Anyhow, hope you like that demonstration of the bossa nova with the chica. All right, next question. And this is something I didn't do in the front end, but I'm going to put it here. You know, I hit 11,000 subscribers, and a good friend of mine, one of my subscribers for about 5 or 6 years now, I guess. His name is John, 805 Breeze, he's known as. He wrote me, he said, "Congratulations on 11,000. I know there are many more to come. I'm proud to call you friend and mentor. It was a great pleasure to meet you in person and play drums with you and then go to lunch. I have learned so much from you and improved my drumming. More important than drums, I admire your love for your family, your faith in God, and your daily messages. Keep up the great work. Hope to talk soon." Well, John, I found a video from my visit with you, and this is me and John playing drums together, and or maybe it's just me playing drums. We played drums together too, and this is me playing his Ludwig kit from that day. And John, I look forward to hanging out with you again. So, thanks. The next question for Ask Earl Anything. This is a question from a guy named Jason Rebelli 8829. And I'm actually answering a question on somebody else's video, believe it or not. I said I would answer it here. And I made a comment about the Yamaha Stage Series drums. My brother had a set of these Yamaha Stage Series drums. They're also known as the 5000 drums, the YD 5000s. The interesting thing about these drums is they are mahogany drums, and they are beautiful sounding drums. I wish I still had that kit. I've been looking for a kit like it too. Matter of fact, the old church I used to play at, my friend Chris Wood, who died, he had this nice YD 5000 kit, 12, 13, 16, 22-inch kick drum. It was white. I was always hoping to make a deal with him to get those drums from him one day. That didn't happen. He passed before that ever happened. He was going to work on my son's song too. Brought that back. Anyhow, on this day, I was saying how much I like the drums, and this guy, Jason, wrote, let's see, "I just bought a set of them. Excited to get them set up and playable. Do you think they're better than the Stage Custom Birch?" And to answer that question is really, Jason, they're two different drums. The Stage Custom Birch are like the Recording Customs. They're birch. Birch is a different sound. Mahogany is fat. Birch has got focus. That's what made the Yamaha Recording Customs such a wonderful drum kit. So I don't think it's a better or worse thing. I just think they're different. And I love the sound of the Yamaha Stage drums. So all I can say to you is, you got a great set of drums. Put a nice fat set of heads on them. Like Emperors work great on those drums. G2s would work great on those drums. Pinstripes will work great on those drums. You could probably get the fatness out with Ambassadors too if you know what you're doing. But if you want to get fat drums fast, go with 2-ply heads. That's the easiest way to do it. And those drums sound good with 2-ply heads. So give that a shot. But yeah, I just think the stage custom birch is just a different thing. I played a set of the stage custom. I'd love to have a birch kit. Birch is a totally different animal than these drums. These are maple gumwood drums. So, but these are special. I mean, Gretsch drums have got a certain vibe. These are 70s, 79 Gretsch drums. This is vintage. This is a vintage kit, man. This is the one guys look for the studio. These old kits, not the new stuff. Not that the new stuff's bad. They're great. They're making them to these specs. They're probably better in the bearing edge department. But this is the mystique of the Jeff Porcaro drums. It's these kind of drums. So it's funny because I wasn't going to buy these drums that day. I was going to buy a set of Slingerland drums, and the guy at Professional Percussion Center, Ippolito's store, a guy named Tim Herman's his name. And if anybody knows the name Tim Herman was the tech in the back that built snare drums, custom snare drums. He wanted to sell me one. I should have bought that darn snare drum. I still to this day kick myself. It would have been great. He would have built me a Keller shell maple snare drum with a Rogers throw off on it. It would have been a custom Tim Herman snare drum. It would have sounded great for $150. Yeah, for the same price I bought that stupid Slingerland. I had to have a TDR snare drum for some reason. It was the worst snare drum I've ever had. It was a Slingerland TDR maple 5-ply chrome over wood. Terrible drum. But I wanted Slingerland drums. And why did I want Slingerland drums? I was 19 and Danny Serafin played them. And this guy Tim Herman said to me, "You don't want the Slingerland drums. They're not that good. You want Gretsch. Just don't get the hardware." So he put Pearl hardware on it. And that's the way they sold them to me. They sold a lot of kits with Pearl hardware. Then they started selling them with Yamaha hardware on them in the 80s. That became the next hardware trend. Prior to that, it was Rogers hardware or Slingerland hardware. But Professional Percussion Center would get their Gretsch drums without any Gretsch hardware on it and then put the hardware on it for you. So I did that. I eventually went to rims mounts, but I have the holes for the Pearl arms in here on these toms. All of them. Even this one, which I should never had that on, but that's another story for another time. All right, my last question comes from a guy named Wayne Capone. He wrote me an email, and he had a couple questions. He said, here's the first one. How did you gain your smoothness on the drums? Anything in particular you worked on? And the first thing I would say that is I played a lot of gigs, and I've been trying to be a studio drummer since my 20s. When I failed, I did the album, Saved by Grace album, and I'm on 6 of the cuts, but I got to watch John Hammond up close, sitting next to him pretty much, and trust me, I learned so much about playing drums that day. That's the best lesson of my whole life, was getting replaced. I realized that I wasn't ready to be a studio musician, but I've worked at it since then. It's all about touch, it's about feel, it's about groove, it's about simplicity. It's not about chops. It's not about playing loud or louder. It's having good technique. And I've been working on all that for a long time, 50 years. The next question was, how do you come up with your fills? He was talking specifically of Hocus Pocus. He also was talking about the fills in Moondance. He went to 2 really strange songs. Hocus Pocus had a ton of fills. That was me just trying to keep up with that crazy guy's crazy playing. Moondance, when I played that cover, I was just playing like I played on a club day. It's a wonderful time for Moondance. Do 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 da. Da 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 da. I was just playing what I heard my whole life, playing that 1,000 times on gigs, to be honest. I haven't watched that video in a long time, but I'm sure I was not playing exactly what the guy played on the record. That's for sure. It's a lot of big band setup. By the way, I'm not the greatest big band drummer in the world, but I can swing enough to get by. So that's what I did on that one. And he said the last question was, how do you go about learning songs? Truthfully, I learn songs when I sit down to play a song. And the reason why I learn it that way is because I'm listening to the drum track in my ears and I'm playing over it like I was a kid playing with records as a child. So the real answer to how I learn songs is I listen and I listen and I listen and I dissect things. And after years and years of doing this, I can get feels like this. I pick up patterns because I know the patterns from playing them over and over again. So that's how I learn songs quickly. And I don't have to read music. I listen and hear it. For most songs, I can get 90% of the song in the first pass most times. It'd have to be a really complex song for me not to do it. One with odd times and time changes and weird cuts and stuff. So with that being said, it's repetition, doing it over and over again. I've done 2,000 songs on YouTube. That proves I can learn songs. Like if anybody said to me, well, could you be in my band? I don't know if you can learn the songs. I would say, I got 2,000 songs. Tell me what song you want me to learn. I'll learn it as fast as you want me to learn it. A lot of times, I've had to learn songs. I remember I was on a gig, a church gig. I was at the church I'm at now, this black church I go to. And they decided to add a song to the end of the service. And it was an old Andre Crouch tune. And truthfully, he said, we're going to play this song. I'll play it for you at the break. So I went out instead of coming in for the sermon. I went outside and he played it one time through and I copped the feel of it. And it's like I had no problem with it. It's like once I heard the feel, oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. Oh, here's the break. There's this. I mapped it out in my brain, sat down, and once he was there calling it, I knew the grooves. I knew what to do. So I used to go on gigs when I was 19 and I had to play along with people. I never heard the song in my life. I did a gig once. I was 19 years old. It was a New Year's gig. It was a Russian-Polish New Year's gig at a Russian-Polish club in Wellington, New Jersey. And one of the guys I went to college with, I don't even remember his name anymore. It's been years. I haven't seen him in years. He sent me on the gig because he got another gig. So I guess he was getting more money on the other gig. Sent me on this Russian-Polish band. 4 of the guys didn't even speak English. I couldn't even talk to those guys. And then the other 3 guys spoke English and the keyboard player. And the highlights of that gig was they wanted to cut a hole in my bass drum. I said no. And the other thing was they kept calling tunes by grooves. Bossy, swing, blues, rock. I didn't know the songs. They were all in Russian and Polish. I never heard these songs. And then we would play something popular like Rise, doom, 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 the disco tune that Herb Albert did, or something like that, and then I would know it. But I'm 19, I'm listening and playing, so it's all about listening, man. Everything about learning songs fast is about listening. So, yeah, listen to lots of music, learn lots of grooves. I don't learn the groove so much as I hear the pattern when just listening to the music. It fits with the bass player, Anyhow, his last question was, do you do Zoom type drum lessons? And the answer to that question is, yes, I do. If one of you guys wanted a Zoom lesson, I can set that up for you. I think he's going to give me a call. Maybe he'll do a Zoom lesson. Maybe we'll just have a phone call and ask me some questions. That's all. I picked John Robinson's brain. I didn't really want a drum lesson from him. I just wanted to pick his brain about himself, and then I ended up interviewing him. And I've told that story before on this show, too. Bottom line, though, if you needed drum lessons, you wanted me to develop a course for you and help you get better, I have taught lessons through Zoom, so it's possible. I'm not making a business of it. I don't have a lot of students right now, but if somebody wants a lesson, I can definitely work something out with you in this electronic age. Anyhow, that's it. That's Ask Earl Anything. This will probably be one show. I ended up doing it faster than the first time. I kind of skipped a few parts, but I kind of got out of the dodgy parts too. Anyhow, I hope you all got something out of it. If you made it this long, please like and subscribe. I just put it now. I just have this little thing that says, please like and subscribe at the beginning, so that you can please like and subscribe, and I don't forget to tell you that. Anyhow, thank you all for your subscriptions. Thank you all for watching my videos. Please like the video, and have a great month. We'll talk again next month on the next Ask Earl Anything. Your questions make the show. Without your questions, we don't have a show. Have a great month. Bye.